は白坂です。車はスカイラインの GTR の、LM リミテッドの V スペック、96年式になります。乗り始めて20年になります。
Hey, welcome to a new episode, and right behind me is probably one of the most special R33 GTRs in Japan. There's something really cool about this car which we'll spend the next 20 minutes or so going over. But before we do that, I just want to bring up the fact that, so many people that tune into my channel are not subscribed yet. It would really help out so much if you did subscribe. It really helps me bring as much coverage as possible from Japan. And I'm so close to that 100k mark. I just want to get there and kind of take the channel to the next step. And I would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. So with that said, let's take a closer look at this really, really cool and special R33 GTR. And what better way to kind of run through a special car like this than in a really sweet location. I'm not going to give it away, but we are at a port somewhere in the vicinity of Tokyo, and it's the perfect spot to kind of take a look at what is a really cool street car build. This is a car that gets used, abused, it gets used properly on track, it gets used on the street, and it's built not only to impress, but it's really built for performance. Every little aspect of the car has meticulously been done, and we're going to try to dissect through every little detail just so you get an understanding of what the owner here has really done. So initially, what you might already have spotted is that this is a GTR LM Championship Blue Special Edition 1996 R33 GTR. This color was made in only 188 examples, and it was made to celebrate Nissan's, the Skyline GTR's first participation in the Le Mans series. And if we take a little closer look here at the C-pillar, you can see what makes this car really, really special. It's that GTR Skyline with a little checkered flag on the side here, kind of hinting that it's not your usual R33 GTR. So the cool thing about this car, of course, was the color. It was the only blue available for the R33 GTR, and the owner has really highlighted the exterior with a ton of little touches that kind of maintains that general feel of the R33 GTR, but really has enhanced it super well. Okay, so in typical car guy fashion, the owner, Shinichiro, has a ton of little parts that he kind of continuously exchanges in and out of the car. Today, the car is actually running an auto select front lip spoiler and canards, and that really adds a nice little contrast to the blue of the car. It really helps, the front end of the car stand out, and of course that aero vented carbon fiber hood kind of takes it away from there, and adds another touch of aggression as we flow along here. And you'll notice that these fenders are kind of R34 Z-Tune inspired. They have the little air outlet here as they kind of flare outwards, kind of replicating what the GT cars used to run and still do to this day in JGTC and of course Super GT today. As we flow across the profile of the car, we have another lower darker or just black section. So the underskirt is a semi motorsport part that continues the black that was started off up front with the auto select splitter. There are some craft square carbon fiber mirrors going for that race car look, and that kind of ends at the back. Top secret rear diffuser and the side carbon fiber vortex generators. Of course, you can't really have a complete JDM build without a proper GT wing. This is a Voltex part sitting on some adjustable metal risers, and of course it gives a nice touch to the car, kind of continuing that race car feel right to the back of the car. But I think to finally get a really nice idea of what the car looks like out on the road at night, we need to flip the lights on and see what he's done to the tail lights. So looking at the lights here at the front, there's some obvious changes done to the winker. So usually the R33 GTR has a round winker on the front lower air intakes of the bumper, but seeing there's an oil cooler here, the owner didn't want to block air supply to that, so he relocated the winkers on the corner here where the usual position lights are. So this doubles up as a kind of USDM side marker, but then when the winkers are engaged left or right, they flash. And seeing that the headlights have been getting battered on track days and the highway, he's actually replaced the front covers with the Wise Square cover kit, so they look like they're brand new. And of course, this being a Koki headlight, it has the HID projectors. Okay, so around the back we have a custom LED setup, custom designed layout of LEDs, kind of replicating what Nismo did with the R34 GT LED light set, and that has been carried out onto the fog light here, so it gives a nice modern touch to the rear of the car. And cool thing, of course, is the number plate 23, red in Japanese, that is Nissan. So the car runs a plume air suspension setup, which Moontech in Japan imports, and it's all controlled by the airlift controller. Wheels are the latest generation of the Race 21Cs, so these are bronze centers against a shinier lip. They were actually unveiled earlier this year at the Week Fest Nagoya show, and hiding behind the spokes are some endless calipers that have been repainted with the Nismo logo, and the same thing has been done to the rear. You can just about see it there. The rear stock caliper has been given the same treatment with the Nismo logo. So it sits super aggressive, probably one of the most photogenic R33 GTRs in Japan, which is why it's gotten featured pretty much everywhere. And best thing of all is that we're gonna take this out on the road now. But before we go and drive it out on the road and probably hit up a meeting tonight, we're thinking about going to Umi Hotaru across the Aqua Line. Being a Friday night, there should be plenty of cars there, and I think it's a perfect venue to end the video like this. But before we do that, I'm gonna take the owner and his car to another little location close to here, and we'll kind of do a deep dive into the engine, what he's done with it, why he's built it the way he has, and kind of understand what he was trying to achieve with this car, because once you take a look at the interior, you're gonna see it's something quite special.
20年乗ってる。
20年前は本当に純正のスタート。
うん。
じゃあ、
娘が成人した。
なんで LM 買った？
いや、もう偶然。32か34が欲しかったけど、20年前でももう32はボロくて、34はちょっと高くて、でこれつけたオートセレクトのデモカーを見て、33もかっこいいと思って33探したら、たまたまこの LM リミテッドの存在すら知らなくて、まあたまたま出会ったっていう。購入当時は、首都高とかサーキットとか結構走ってたんですけど、6、7年前ぐらいですかね、まあちょっと落ち着いて、サーキットもう落ち着こうかなっていう時に、もともと好きだったこのシャコタン系のカスタムに、当時は GTR でやってる人がいなかったんで、かっこいいかなと思って、車高を下げて、イベントに出たりとか、始めました。今もサーキット行ってるから、結構だから走れないと思ってる人が多いと思うけど、全然走れるのは走れる。 エンジンは、RB26 の N1 のエンジンに本体を乗せ替えていて、ガスケット類なんかはメタルにしたりしてますね。でタービンは、HK さんの GT2530 タービンをツインで、駅マニは GCG さん、アウトレットは HK さんで、フロントパイプが、東名さんで、マフラーが、RSE さんのチタンマフラーっていう感じになってます。あとはニスモさんのサージタンクとか、ニスモさんのインジェクター、あと HKS のデリバリーパイプ、あとインタークーラーは、トラストさんみたいな感じで、だいたい500から550馬力ぐらい出てるっていう感じですね。ミッションは、1回5速がダメになっちゃったんですけど、純正のまた、リビルトのやつで乗せ替えてますね。
クラッチはカーボンですね。
クラッチは、はい、ATS さんのカーボンツイン入れてます。乗りやすいですね。ずっとサスペンションは車庫調でやってたんですけど、2年半前ぐらいですかね、極端な車庫端で乗ってたんで、どうしても下回り打っちゃってっていうことがあって、で車をいたわる意味で落としたいというよりはどっちかというと走る時に上げて、全開でも走りたいっていうのもあるんで、エアサスを2年半前ぐらいに組みました。でこの第2世代の GTR で実績がすごいあったのが、もともと知っていたムーンテックの田口さんだったんで、田口さんのところで、サーキットも走れるし、200キロ以上のスピードでも大丈夫なセッティングにしてくれっていうことで、プルームさんの、エアサスとマネジメントはエアリフトを使ってます。はい、でアーム関係はもともとサーキットの時走ってたまんま、池谷フォーミュラーさんで、一部クスコさんですけど、ピロアームを組んでます。ホイールは今年の、ウィークフェストに合わせて変えた、レイズさんの、21C のスペック SR になってます。サイズは、10.5、サイズは、10.518 で、オフセットはマイナス10です。このサイズで、スペーサーは前後なしで、つけてます。タイヤは東洋さんの、R888R で、サイズは275の3518になってます。ブレーキキャリパーはエンドレスさんの、6スポットに、ローターもエンドレスさんの355パイのローターです。でキャリパーは、いろいろ塗り替えてるんですけど、ちょっと前は、アシッドグリーンというポルシェのカイエンの、グリーンにしてた時もありますし、今は、他に履いているワークさんの、マイスター S1 っていう、オールホワイトのホイールにそのアシッドグリーンのキャリパー合わせると、派手派手になっちゃうので、ちょっと引き算っぽくそのタイミングで、黒く塗り替えてます。でエンドレスさんのロゴはスムージングして、ちょっと後ろが、純正のブレンボキャリパーで、ローターを大きくしてるので、ロゴはどっちも前後ともちょっと遊び心でニスモで入れてますね。内装はレーシングカーを、イメージしてるというかスパルタンな感じで作っていて、ロールバーはもともと7点式だったのを、途中でクスコさんの競技用の13点式に変えていて、白で塗装してます。あとシートもブリットだったりレカロだったりいろいろ使ってきたんですけど、ステータスも使ったかな、今は結局は、日本人の体型に合ってて、ブリットさんのジーグ4に落ち着いてますね。で 結構 FRP 使ってる人が多いんですけど、あえてカーボンを使ってます。ステアリングは、レナウを使っていて、あとあんまり33で入れてる人いないんですけど IRP さんの、ショートシフターを入れてますね。クロスバーで、ガゼットを入れるっていうのをやりたかったんで、今回、そこを追加しているっていう感じです。
But it's the engine bay that we are going to concentrate on now, and it is so neatly laid out and simple. It's very functional, and I really appreciate the way that it's been built and put together. So at the heart of it is the RB26N1. So he started with really solid bass to start a bit of tuning. On the hot side we have GCG manifolds feeding HKS GT 2530 turbos, and they're dumping gases into Tomei outlets and a Tomei titanium front pipe, which really does give a very teeny, very high-pitched kind of motorcycle-like quality to the exhaust note, and then that dumps into a titanium exhaust system. The filters are actually fed through these HKS filters, and all the piping connects up to the trussed intercooler up here, and the cooled charge is then transferred over to the Nismo inlet manifold. So this is the GT Plenum. So this was originally developed for GT racing in JGTC, then Super GT. So for fueling and ignition, there's an HKS fuel rail, HKS injectors, and R35 coils up here. Over to the smaller details, we have a Cusco carbon fiber strut brace. So seeing this car actually gets driven quite hard, the owner has had a custom aluminium radiator built up with an air separator system up here. I actually spotted a really cool part. This is a discontinued ARC oil catch can, which also doubles up as the washer fluid reservoir. So on the bumper, I mentioned before that the indicator was removed to allow more flow to the oil cooler, which is a truss unit that has been combined with a relocation kit for the oil filter, and as you can see, it runs a Nismo oil filter element there. This is what happens in Japan in summertime after you drive a car 3 minutes. The humidity is insane. So we have found a final location to position the car against before we head to Umihotaru for a potential really cool Friday night meet. So I think this is the perfect venue to kind of do a final roundup of the car, have a look at the interior, check out some more details. Alright, so let's take a look at the interior now that we have a nice bright location to do so. I really love how the owner has kind of created a car that is a mix of show car, track car, and street car all in one. So effortlessly made with such a nice selection of parts, but more especially the details. So the first thing that really I would notice at least is the IRP short shifter. It's not something you really see in GTRs, so it actually makes it look like the car is running a sequential. Really nice detail. I love how he's gone for like a glossy black color for the instrumentation surround, which is usually like a cheap plastic on 33s. I do like the carbon fiber Briddo seats. I think they really fit the whole kind of idea of creating such a mix of, I guess, 3 cars in one, and it really stands out against the white Cusco roll cage, which stretches all the way to the back, and the interior has been completely stripped away. There's no rear seats, even the speaker parcel shelf has been stripped out. There's even no wipers, and Shin Ichiro was actually telling me how he's actually hand painted with a brush here, because underneath the seats it was just like black, kind of like primer. So from the driver's side, the first thing we notice is the renowned steering wheel. It has pretty aggressive cup kind of offset there to kind of bring the steering wheel back on that quick release boss, because of course the seats are kind of like leaning back position wise, fixed buckets. And as I flick the lights here, you can actually see the Nismo gauges backlit in green, and that green is carried over into the 3 auxiliary gauges here on the center console, where you can see the HKS circuit attack counter and the EVC boost controller. Okay, so there you have it. We kind of dissected the R33 LM here in all the details, and you know, it's such a great idea that he's gone for, kind of combining 3 cars in one. It's a show car, it's a track car, it's a street car, and it gets plenty use in every of, you know, these disciplines. We've seen it at WECFest showing off these 21Cs that Raze has just released this year. So he takes it to the track regularly, and of course it gets driven hard every day that he takes it out, and that is every weekend and even a Friday night like today. And speaking of that, we are just gonna jump in our cars and head to Umi Hotaru across the Aqualine, or rather in the middle of it, and get some driving shots of the car in action, and of course hopefully kind of indulge in a bit of car meet action when we get there. So here we are at Umi Hotaru. Pretty nice turnout as usual. You can never go wrong on a Friday night here. We got a bunch of the usual crew. If you remember Takashi's ER34, we featured a couple of months back. It's out and about tonight. And next to it is sick 993 Slam and some BBS LMs. We have some interesting cars tonight at Umi Hotaru, including an Alpha 75. It's so cool. I love these cars so much. I learned to drive with an Alpha 75, so it has a special place in my heart. Listen to it go. Oh yes. And there's actually, before they go, I actually saw 3 of them when I came in. So we'll get back to the GTR soon. I just need to get these 275s before they disappear. This is the perfect example of what you can expect in Japan, like surprises like this. In the meantime, S14 Sylvia rocks in with plenty of money can, 75 twin spark, and next to it what looks like a turbo, the crazy ducktail here. Super sick. Love these cars so much. GR Yaris rolling in. Just so cool seeing these cars in Japan. When I first moved to Japan, I remember actually seeing a lot of these on the street, but these days they are pretty rare. So it's a special event actually coming across these cars in the wild. And I love how the Japanese modify these cars, always have a special way of, you know, choosing wheels and going for special fitment. Absolutely beautiful. Right, in the meantime, a few more cars rolled in, so let's go and check them out. Starting off with the S14 we saw coming in. Look at the stance on this thing. Little honey can, load the VS's. Super cool build. And it's actually purple now that you see the light. Orange, Evo 5. A Lamborghini Gallardo. Nice roadster here on some Grand lights. Well, there you are. I hope you enjoyed this evening's feature on a very special R33 GTR. As ever, let me know in the comments what you thought, and make sure you check back soon for more as we try to feature all the cool cars that we come across here in Tokyo and Yokohama.